And we're live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're tuning in from, everyone, and whenever you're tuning in. Today is Thursday, December 28th. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. We're going to get started here in about a minute or so. We'll give it another little bit for people to jump on. If you are just joining the live stream, welcome. And if you could smash the like, I would appreciate it. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And also let me know if you think the bottom is in on Tilray brand stock. So we're going to get to today's content in just a moment. We'll give it another 30 seconds to 45 seconds for people to jump on. Dozens of people rolling in now. Welcome, welcome. Going to get started here momentarily. We'll give it another half a minute or so. Let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, as I mentioned, today is Thursday, December 28th, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. In this video, we're going to be discussing Tilray brands. We're going to be talking about the monster move that it's had over, I think it was the last 45 days or so, up over 56% in that time period. We had a bunch of indicators and signals that went off, giving us a little bit of a heads up and clue that we could have expected this move. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. So as I mentioned, we had a monster gain over 56% over the last month. We'll take a look at the chart and what to expect in terms of technicals in the days, weeks, months ahead. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. You should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I write or anything that I say. And full disclosure, I am a very large shareholder of Tilray, right? It's one of my biggest holdings. If you haven't seen my MJ portfolio holdings video, you can check that out. I've done a couple of videos on that in the past, my top 5 as well. I'm going to be doing an updated one here in 2024, so stay tuned for that. If you tick the bell, you'll be notified on that video or any future videos as well. Also, you can give us a follow over on X. I would appreciate it. The X is formerly Twitter, and I'm going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Also, we signed up for Rumble and Odyssey platforms as well, just in case we ever get silenced here on YouTube. Also, just created a brand new Tilray hat. I think I like this one the best. But if you go to the link here, if you just go to the Power Group YouTube channel, click on community, a lot of the stuff I post here, and there's a link directly to the new hat, and it's got the eagle on the back, so it's pretty sharp. A little bit different than the one I got on here at the moment. Getting lots of feedback about it, and thanks for everyone who let me know there was an issue with DNS on the website. So I've since corrected it. It's just powmerch.ca, and like I said, there was an issue with I think it was a certain type of 404 error or something like that. But anyway, it was a DNS issue, and I've since corrected that with GoDaddy. So everything should be working fine now. If you go to powmerch.ca, you can see all the stuff here. Also added a couple new items as well. These are pretty sweet here. I got some jogger pants, so these are pretty dope. And then there was a new hoodie as well that I added on there. This one's super sick too, so you can check that out. Help support the channel. Love each and every one of you who supported me along the way. Also just posted a video 5 days ago, wow, time flies, on Tilray Brands Moment of Truth and the Q2 2024 earnings on January 9th in the morning. There's also a webcast at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, so I'll be joining that. I'll be covering it extensively, and video's got over 2,000 views already. And it just goes to show you how much interest is in the best MJ company on the planet, and that is Tilray Brands. But in that video, I kind of give some of my thoughts and opinions on the earnings estimates. But just as a reminder, we're expecting 193.71 million US for revenue and negative 0.0513 for EPS. And then if we bring up Moomoo, I really like the platform here on the desktop app. You can see revenue is forecasted at 195.07 million, so slightly more bullish. And this is based on 10 analysts. And the earnings per share estimates is negative 0.057. And we had this monster breakout out of this pennant that was forming, and the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. Tons of names were doing it as well. SNDL just had a similar breakout, and we were expecting something similar following suit with Tilray. And then something similar happened on Canopy Growth here as well. So we had that same type of pattern. The EMA 12 and 26 bull cross broke out, but then we had the reverse split news. And like I said, same thing happened with Tilray. And then we were looking at, I was talking about SNDL for a laggard play, and I took an SNDL trade, and it's actually up over 11% at the moment. If we just go here, you can see, well, it was up over 11% today, currently up 10.5%. So I'm still in that trade, and really like the platform here, the Moomoo platform. This video isn't sponsored. They're a new sponsor of the channel, but you can see here it's still post-market trading. So if I wanted to, I could technically sell that position on SNDL, but I'm going to hold that for the foreseeable future. Still expecting more upside. I think we could go to a couple dollars here around that $2 mark on SNDL. But if you remember, I posted a video not too long ago. It was on November 13th, and this basically called the bottom. And I said last chance to load up before blast off. So this could be our last chance to add before a major price explosion. So look at the date. This was November 13th. In this video, we cover the opportunity to add Tilray stock before major price appreciation. Tilray stock news and analysis for Monday, November 13th. Now let's just go over to the chart here real quick. November 13th was literally the exact bottom. And since then, it's up over 56%. So November 13th right here, and that's exactly when I made this video. Whoops, this video here. And that was literally the exact bottom. And here we are up over 56% from that video. Is that because I have a crystal ball and I can predict the future? Absolutely not. We just take a look at the charts, and those who tell you that technical analysis is hocus pocus, doesn't work, it's silly, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. They got their head so far stuck up there. You know what? They don't even understand how to use the tools that are given to them, right? It's like a carpenter who buys a brand new, multi-$1,000 or buys a piece of equipment. A construction worker buys a piece of equipment, $100,000 machine, and doesn't read the manual, doesn't do any training, and then gives it a few hours worth of a go, tries to figure it out in a couple hours, doesn't realize how to use it, says, oh, this machine's garbage, right? But if you actually look into it, there's months of research and training that you have to do to operate this heavy equipment, right? So it's not like most people. They look at a chart and they try to understand things, and they look at it, it's very hard, right? Probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was learn technical analysis. But once you start to learn it, and once it really, it's just like learning like a new programming language or a new language, right? Like when I was a computer coder, that was very hard. But once you start to learn it, it's like a new language, and then it just starts to make sense, right? And same thing with technical analysis. Those that don't understand how to use it or don't think it works just don't understand how to use the tools that were given to them. And it's not a guarantee, and it's not about predicting the future. It's not about having an absolute direction either way. It is simply looking at the most likely scenario and saying, okay, if 8 out of 10 indicators that we track are saying bullish, well, then we're going to be bullish. If 8 out of the 10 indicators that we track are bearish, then we're going to be bearish. And I've got a ton of indicators and signals here that I'll share with you here in just a moment that led me to believe that the bottom was likely in. But let me know in the live chat or in the comment section below, if you're viewing this after the fact, do you think that the bottom is in on Tilray Brands? Are you still waiting to add? Are you feeling some FOMO, fear of missing out? Are your bags packed like me on Tilray? I'm pretty much, the only way I would add is if we ever drop to a new all-time low on the NASDAQ. So I just can't see that ever happening, but I think the bottom is in personally. But if we take a look at this video here as well, yesterday was the last day for tax loss harvesting. So December 27th was the final day to sell and take advantage of tax loss selling. And we also have in just under a week, so on January 1st, markets are closed in Canada and the US. And then on January 2nd, us Canadians, our fellow Canadians, will have an extra $7,000 contribution room in their TFSA. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly encourage you to check that out. I talk about the benefits of that and my game plan, what I'll be doing with my TFSA, because I've maxed out my contribution room. So I can't wait to get that extra contribution room to start adding more MJ stocks. And I talk about which companies I'm looking at in that video. And in that video, if you go to the comment section below, I also link in there my top 5 MJ picks for 2023, and then my entire MJ portfolio holdings with percentages breakdown. So it's all, the links are in there. But like I said, I'll do an updated video on that soon. And like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions on that and what you're looking to add. I may wait for a healthy correction and weekly consolidation on the S&P 500, which we know is very, very due. Could happen really any week now. So I might save a little bit more than I was planning initially when I made this video because of the fact that we could see a pretty hefty pullback on the S&P 500 on the weekly time frame. It would just be healthy, and that could give us a nice opportunity, a very nice opportunity actually, to add some MJ. But here was another signal. So we have the POW Algo Buy Alert. So if you go to powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com, there's an algo service on there. And in that algo service, I just took a screenshot of it. We also email it out. So if you're not a part of the POW Group private community, if you are part of the POW Group private community, you can access it in there. But if you're not, it also emails it out. So you have that option as well. But like I said, we had a POW Algo Buy Alert go off on Tilray. It said medium to long-term bullish evidence, and that was on December 17th. But when I made this video here, last chance potentially to add before a major price explosion, that was literally the exact bottom on November 13th. We went over 56%. And then if we take a look from this call out, the buy alert that went off on Tilray, another signal, right? Another, another clue that we could expected more upside from here. And I'll go over a bunch more here in just a moment. But that was on December 17th. Okay, so on December 17th, where were we? That was on the weekend. So we closed here at $1.98. So from that call out from the POW Algo Buy Alert, if you bought it as soon as that algo alert fired off, it'd be up over 27% at the moment, almost 30%, right? So that was another signal that I was confident in seeing more price explosion. And then if we take a look at the weekly time frame here, you can see that we have weekly increasing bull volume. The stochastic had a bull cross. Usually when you take a look at the weekly time frame, the stochastic moves first, then the price gets above the 10-week moving average, and then we see the MACD bull cross, or the same thing in the reverse order. So if you're looking at, in this scenario here, where we were expecting downside, what happened first? Stochastic cross bearish first, then we lost the 10-week moving average, then the MACD cross bearish, and then we saw more follow through. So then the same thing happens on the reverse side of that. When we're below the 10-week moving average and we're expecting momentum to shift, the stochastic cross bullish first, that was our clue number one. Then we got above the 10-week moving average and closed above it for that weekly candle, clue number two, and then the MACD followed. So let that be something that you can remember in the future when looking for momentum swings, right? And generally when you cross moving averages, that shows when you cross it, when you're below it and you cross above it and close above it, it shows momentum to the upside. When you're above it and you start to come down, confirm it as support, close below it, momentum shifting to the bears to the downside, right? So that was another clue. Also, we are getting above the 50 weekly moving average. Last time we did that, we had an indecision doji candle and then a massive rejection. And then monthly higher lows looking to form, right? Because as I've been saying, we still need monthly higher lows and higher highs to be in a monthly uptrend to be confident that the bottom is in. So I think the bottom is very close to being in, but we still need that monthly uptrend to be confident. So I would say at this point, 80 to 90% confident that the bottom is in there from that video on November 13th. But yeah, the 50-day moving, the 50 weekly moving average was at 229. We've got above that, and we're likely heading to 327. And again, another clue that we can use is saying, okay, well, if Tilray is showing signs of momentum, what are the other names in the space looking like, right? So then if we go to Tilray, to Cureleaf and compare it to Tilray, Cureleaf got to its 100 weekly moving average, right? And it actually got there and above it. And here we are right back at it again. And Cureleaf's in a monthly uptrend with a higher low and higher high. So again, the more names that confirm monthly uptrends, the better. And we want to see names in the US, names in Canada, and retailers, ETFs. And the more names that do so, the better. So if you're looking at Tilray and you're saying, okay, we haven't confirmed a monthly uptrend yet, have other names done so in Canada? No. Okay. What about the US names? So you take a look at Cureleaf, right? And Cureleaf is a great example that it did, and I'll have to go to the OTC since we don't have enough trading history there on the uplisted now to the TSX. But if we go to the monthly time frame, low, high, higher low, and higher high. So it confirmed a monthly uptrend. So as bulls and as analysts, if Cureleaf does that, and then AYR did as well, I'm not going to bring everything up, but AYR did as well, so it was in a monthly uptrend, the more names that start to confirm monthly uptrends, the more confident we are in the rest following suit. And sure enough, Tilray was just looking for a monthly higher low on this pullback, right? When we had this rejection here, that was just the pullback setting up for the monthly higher low. And that's that disbelief phase in the investor psychology cycle where, you're in a multi-year bear market, you've bled out for, 80, 90% plus of pullback, right? And everybody and their dog thinks that, MJ is never going to exist. All plants on the planet are going to cease to exist. Every plant on planet Earth MJ is going to go up in smoke. The plant's never going to exist any longer. There'll never be any gains ever to be had, right? The sector's dead. It's a dead asset class. God's going to come down and zap all MJ plants, and there'll never be another MJ plant again. Like, that's how ridiculous retail investors get, right? Because of the way the markets are designed to make you feel, and it's meant to make you feel flustered and frustrated and investor fatigue, and you get that disbelief phase where you're starting to trend higher, you're starting to change monthly uptrends, you're starting to see a long-term reversal and momentum shift, and it's usually here where everybody gets bullish again and they're like, okay, maybe this is it, and then it comes back down, confirms a monthly higher low, and that's where people are like, see, told you, just another sucker's rally. That disbelief phase, and there's never going to be any gains ever to be had in MJ, right? MJ's a dead act class. Every company in the space is going to zero, right? And then you form that monthly higher low, and then you start the monthly bounce, and then you look to change the monthly trend. And like I said, that low there at 161, man, what an entry on 161 with a stop below 150. If we lost 150, then it would have been a monthly downtrend continuation. Whereas now, bulls held perfect support, starting the monthly bounce. Now we have the attempt at changing the monthly trend. So if you entered there at 161, you could have set a stop just below 150. So you could have risked, what's that? Like 10%, a little over 10% to make 55%. That's great risk to reward. And we still haven't even confirmed the monthly uptrend yet. If we go from 161 all the way up to monthly resistance, that's a 111% move. And if we confirm the monthly uptrend and see follow through, we're probably going to see about 250% of upside from here. And then again, what did Cureleaf do? Monthly EMA 26, it got above it. So if Cureleaf got above its monthly EMA 26, what are the chances? What are the probabilities? What are the odds? That's all technical analysis is. Well, Tilray might do so as well. Is Tilray going to go to zero and never exist? Is it going to go bankrupt? Probably not. Is Tilray one of the leaders in the space? Definitely. Is Tilray going to be top 5 globally? Probably. I would argue maybe even number 1, maybe number 3, right? I think for sure has a shot at being the number 1 MJ company worldwide, globally, in the long term. But I think top 5 is pretty much guaranteed. Obviously, there's no guarantees in financial markets. The only guarantee is no guarantees, but I'm close to as 100% as possible as I can be in believing that Tilray is going to be at least a top 5 global player in MJ. I would say there's a very, very good chance it's going to be top 3, and then a very high probability as well that it could be the top MJ company in the planet. So if Cureleaf did it, why can't Tilray do it? So if Tilray does what Cureleaf has done, gets back into a monthly uptrend, that would bring us over 340. If we break 340 from here, monthly uptrend confirmed, and then we can expect EMA 26, which is there at 577. All right. So, and if it does what Cureleaf did, Cureleaf got above its EMA 26. That'd put us around $6, right? So again, close to seeing a bottom. Let me know in the comments and in the live chat if you think the bottom is in. But we're seeing everything that we need to see here at the moment, except for one thing, and that's the monthly uptrend. And I'll show you the rest that we need to see, or that we've already confirmed and we've already seen. We still need the monthly uptrend. But Cureleaf is a great example. So Tilray's got some room here as well until the 100 weekly moving average at 327. So if we start to trend back to that 100 weekly, which it looks like we are, then it's all about 340 from there, and then monthly uptrend confirmed. And then if we get over that, like I said, no resistance until 512 on the price action, and then the 200 weekly there at 747. And then we're not going to have enough history on, so we'll go, let's take CURLF. And then if Cureleaf gets back to its 200 weekly, which it was on its way there, right, on that HHS recommendation to Schedule 3. Imagine what happens when we actually get Schedule 3, or even something even better than that. Cureleaf would be over 750, right? And then, like I said, Tilray comparable would be sitting there at around $7.47 USD. And then we also had the Golden Cross. And then, like I said, when we have a Golden Cross, everybody and their dog knows what a Golden Cross is, right? So, like, even the people in the live chat, right? When you maybe let me know when you saw that there was a Golden Cross, did you think we were going to go to the moon tomorrow? Did you think the bottom was in? Because quite often, more often than not, when we see a Golden Cross, everybody knows what it is. So they think, oh, we're super bullish, we're going to the moon tomorrow, and we're not going back, we're never going to look back, and we're going to $100, permable, right? But there's usually a big fake out, especially when you're in a brutal bear market down over 99% from all-time highs and still haven't confirmed a monthly uptrend. You need to expect that last capitulation move and shakeout before the massive breakout. And like I said, we had the big move, Golden Cross, then one more final shakeout and potential Wyckoff type of method, and then we get the spring and then the big breakout comes, right, after the massive fake out. So like I said, what do all MJ companies need to do to be confident the bottom is in? The long-term bottom is in, the bear market is over, and we're potentially entering a new bull market, which could span multiple years. We need golden crosses, which shows the 50-day moving averages below the 200 and they cross. So that has happened. So that's point number one. Number two, we need monthly uptrends. So we're close to doing that now from the high of the day today, or this month, I guess, from monthly resistance at 340, we're only 34% away now. So 34% more of a move, and we confirm a monthly uptrend, basically 35%. So that's the second thing we need to do. And then the third thing that we needed to do that I said had to happen to be confident that the bottom is in, the bear market is over, we needed to see a weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, because that hasn't happened on Tilray since December of 2020. So 3 years ago. Think about that. 3 years since that happened, right? Or 987 days. Massive, massive time frame. So when that happens, something's different this time, right? Here, right, when we started to bounce, that doesn't mean that we can't have bounces along the way, right? We went up 40% there on that lower high. This lower high, 100%. This one went up 55%. This one went up 100% again. So there's tons of moves to be had here. And then 150 to 340 went up 130%. But what didn't happen that whole time? We didn't confirm a monthly uptrend, and we didn't see a weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, and we didn't see a golden cross. This time, we're seeing the weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, first time since December 2020. We're seeing the monthly uptrend very close to confirming, and we have the golden cross, right? We had the Pow Algo buy alert go off. We had this video that I done tons of signal on as well. There's so much to be on the lookout for when it comes to technical analysis, but it gets more simpler. It definitely gets simpler after a while. And then something to look at here as well is on the monthly time frame, a lot of names were monthly oversold. Tilray actually didn't get there, but on the weekly time frame, we did get weekly oversold. So that was another clue as well that we could potentially be forming a long-term bottom here on weekly oversold on the RSI, right? Anything 30 and below is considered oversold. So like here, for example, it's overbought, right? So generally when you see this green forming and you're 70 and above, especially on the weekly time frame, probably not a good idea to buy, probably a good idea to take profit and potentially sell, right? Or short it. But again, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And then we entered a bear market. And then when we hit weekly overbought, or oversold rather, from overbought, great time to add, right? And again, if you know nothing about technical analysis, if you just put in RSI into your charts, you'll probably do better than more than 90% of retail traders out there, if not more, because this is exactly when people don't want to buy. People don't want to buy when we're oversold on the RSI, because the media is telling you, MJ's dead, and everybody and your friends and on social media hates the industry, hates the asset class because they've been brutally destroyed from the price action, right? And then they get investor fatigue and they're frustrated. Whereas up here, when we're weekly overbought, you get articles coming out saying that Tilray is going to $1,000, and they just keep you perma bullish and make you they make you feel FOMO, and you never want to sell because you just keep thinking everything's going to pump and pump and pump and go up forever, right? So again, it's generally that contrarian view. So we're very close to seeing everything that we need to see. We had the weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. We had the golden cross. Now we just need the monthly time frame to be confident the bottom is in. But let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live chat. Do you think the bottom is in on Tilray? I think it's very, very close. Like I said, I think there's a very high chance. I say, anywhere from that 80% region that the bottom is more than likely in. We have all the major bullish catalysts coming that we could ever ask for. Germany set to come online in 2024, early 2024, likely Q1, Q2, and then we could get a response from the DEA as well with regards to recommendation to Schedule 3. If they approve that, it's going to be euphoria like never before, right? And then when it actually goes live, again, Tilray, I know tons of people, in Europe. I know tons of people that are, across overseas. I know tons of people in the US who can't buy Canadian US MJ, so they can only buy Canadian MJ because it's listed on the NASDAQ, right? Or the US major exchanges. So it's a proxy to a news catalyst. So when something comes out like Schedule 3, which benefits the MSOs and removes 280E tax burden, they don't see as much upside until they uplist to the US major exchanges. the names already on the US major exchanges, like the Tilrays, the CGCs, the Sundials of the world, the SNDLs, those are a beneficiary and a proxy to that news catalyst, right? Because that's where the majority of the herd, the retail investors, and where, the financial, Wall Street, the hedge fund institutions, right? The institutional investors, the hedge funds, all that stuff, right? The big money, smart money. That's where they play. They don't play on the CSE. They don't even play on the TSX. They don't play on the OTC, right? So again, this is looking really, really good here. We've got tons of catalysts. Florida potentially on the ballot for 2024, Ohio, Pennsylvania, MJ Act for review here in Canada. I really do think we're going to see some improvements to excise tax here in Canada very, very soon. And then we could see edibles go from 10 to 100 milligrams. And also, we're seeing Tilray focusing a lot more on edibles, and I don't think that's a mistake or a coincidence. And like I said, I've never been more bullish. We also have Truss. So we have the brands that Tilray acquired from Anheuser-Busch, right? Like the Shock Top and all those other brands, the beverage brands. And then we have Truss as well. And what else do we have? Full quarter of Hexo. I can't remember who mentioned that to me. I think it was on X, but shout out to that person. You know who you are. We are having a conversation in one of the, I think it was on my last Tilray video, on the earnings video. We were having a conversation in the comment section on X. But yeah, absolutely. This is going to be, in my opinion, a very, very bullish quarter. But I'm not expecting, and they've been cutting down on debt and whatnot. I've been seeing improvements from the synergies of the Hexo acquisition, and improvements to SG&A and COGS. But I'm not, and we also have Redican flower as well, the new Animal Runs, the King Sherb, which is fantastic, by the way. And then we're seeing more and more products. I'm seeing, when I go to Canna Cabana here in Edmonton downtown, which is a high tide store, there's nothing but Tilray products now. It's insane how much products are there. And same thing with the beverages. The beverages are pretty much the whole drink fridge is Tilray. Aside, maybe 2 or 3% of the drinks are from someone other than Tilray, but most of them are Tilray and Truss, right? So I'm very, very bullish over the next few quarters. I think it's going to be, maybe within the next year, we could see profitability on Tilray. But like I said, I think the next few quarters are just going to get better and better. I'm not expecting a massive blowout in terms of estimates this quarter coming up in January 9th. But yeah, I think just over the next few quarters, it's just going to continue. We're going to continue to see progress. And then over the next, maybe 3 or 4 quarters, I think that's when we're going to start to see critical mass, and people are going to really start to wake up to this absolute juggernaut that's in the making. So I see we have tons of people still on the live stream here after almost 30 minutes. But that's my rant. And like I said, I'm very, very bullish on Tilray long term. It's by far my biggest holding. I'm not going to be adding any more to my TFSA when I get this added contribution room, 7,000, on January 1st or January 2nd when the market's open. It's my biggest position, and I'm going to look to diversify and mostly focus on the US MSOs. I do want to add SNDL as well, and maybe OGI for the LPs. I've already got a pretty big position on both, but I might look to add a little bit of that, maybe 5-10% of my contribution room to that, and then the rest is going to be mostly focused on USMJ. Paisley, will CGC go down more, or should we buy here? I think that I just did a video on CGC. You can check that out. I did say that we're not out of the woods yet. I think there could be a little bit more downside. And then today, Tilray was up over 10%, SNDL was up 7 or 8%, and CGC was only up a couple percent. So we're starting to see more focus on the other names. And yeah, I think that we could potentially see a little bit more downside, potentially a potential for a MACD bear cross on the weekly time frame for Canopy. So, yeah, I think there could be a little bit more weakness there. Smash the like, checking in from good old Illinois. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can't wait to check out Chicago one of these days. Welcome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hello, hello. From Wasau? What's up from Wasau? I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not familiar with that city or town, whatever it is. But yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream, Chris. Hi, Rod. Your channel is one of the most favorites, and I love how you are current on the news with the sector. Thank you. Do you think that MSOS and Cureleaf will dip down again, or do you think that the bottom is in? Thank you very much, Tech Monkey. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate the support. In terms of MSOS and Cureleaf, yeah, we could see a little bit more downside It's hard to say. I mean, at this point, I don't think like we should be greedy with where the prices are right now. Time in the market right now in the MJ sector is probably better than timing the market. So rather than trying to time the exact bottom, I guess I'll answer your question. I think we could see a little bit more downside. But I did a video not too long ago on MSOS saying when we were hourly oversold, I said that was likely going to be a massive opportunity, and it went from like $6 to $7 in no time. So that was a great trade opportunity. Like I said, with regards to the charts, it could go either way right now. There's no real clear direction on MSOS. I would like to see the uptrend confirmed on MSOS though. It still hasn't yet to confirm a monthly uptrend. It's kind of like Tilray in that regard. So I think there could be a little bit more downside and chance for better entries. But like I said, there could be any day, any week now, there could be news coming out with regards to rescheduling progress and updates and even an approval by the DEA. I just, the way I do it is I have a short-term account, I have a long-term account, and I add to my long-term account. And if we get a news piece article, like the second, if Schedule 3 gets approved and it goes to the DOJ and like it actually gets enacted, it's just going to be throw a dart, buy anything, and you're going to win, right? So rather than be a deer in the headlights, I'd rather have a long-term account now that I'm building and adding to, and then and that way I have that FOMO protection, right? That if I don't, exactly time the news, which is basically like trying to pick, next week's lottery numbers, you just don't know, right? So I would encourage you to have a short-term account, have a longer-term account, and then, maybe do a little bit of swing trading, day trading if you want in your short-term account. But personally, I just think time in the market right now in MJ, not tech stocks. If it's tech stocks, like, maybe do day trading and some swing trading and short for, lack of a better situation. Because like I said, that time in the tech market right now in the tech sector, if you just buy and hold right now in the tech sector, you're probably going to get wrecked, right? Probably going to see like 70, 80% downside because a lot of names are at all-time highs and euphoric, right? Blue sky breakouts, like look at NVDA, right? So, but now, like with MJ down 80, 90% plus from February 2021 highs and all-time highs, I think just time in the market's much better and it's way less stressful. Like I said, I had an SNDL trade. I did a video on that as well. I was up today about a little over 12% at one point on my SNDL trade. But I also have the SNDL in my long-term account so that, if I do end up taking profit on my swing trade on SNDL, I still have it in my long-term account, and then I'm not, freaking out if things skyrocket 200, 300% on a Schedule 3 update, right? So, yeah, I think that we can see a little bit more downside, but I would say the bottom is very, very close to being in as well on MSOS and Cureleaf. This will pay off sometime, 100%, no rush, same time. This will pay off sometime, 100%, no rush, same time. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Great. It's like a bottle of pop. The pressure is building. It will eventually pop. Absolutely. Smoking on some Sherbinski. Really nice product. I highly recommend. Well, I've never heard of that one. Thanks for sharing. It's safe to buy Tilray now. Well, again, that video that I did on November 13th, I literally said this could be one of our last chance to add before a major price explosion. Price went from 161 USD to 250 today. So, like, again, people only want to add when it's going up. Now you're kind of at risk of it going back down to $2 again, right? But again, if you buy it at 250 or $2, and in a year from now it's at $10, are you really going to care? That's why I think time in the market is better than timing the market. It'd be different if MJ was down 20% from all-time highs, but we're down like over 99% on some names, right? So I just don't see the point on trying to squeeze out a few more percent near a bottom. I think it's safe to buy at like MJ, really pretty much all MJ at these levels, to be honest with you. There's some obviously that offer more high risk versus reward and more reward versus risk, and some that are pretty like safer, like a green thumb's like a safer bet or like an IIPR, right? But they're not going to 10x or 100x like in a couple of years. Like they could in maybe a decade or two, but like I'd be skeptical, right? Like whereas a name like CGC, if CGC goes from current price levels to back to where it was in all-time highs, you're looking at like 100x, right? $1,000 investment into $100,000 for GTII to do that, right? What was GTII at today? Let's just take a quick look. This would be Canadian as well. So GTII is at $15 Canadian. So that would literally, to 100x, it'd have to go to $1,500 a share, right? Whereas if CGC just goes back to where it was, or even Tilray is currently at 241 USD. If it goes back just to February 2021 highs, not the all-time highs at 300, if it goes back to February 2021 highs, that's 26x from here. That's a $1,000 investment into $26,000, right? Whereas GTII, to get a 25x return, it would have to go to $375 a share, right? So again, a little bit more safer bet there because it's already profitable. It's one of the bigger companies in terms of revenue, but you know, with more reward comes more risk, and then you generally use a little bit less capital, right, at those higher risk names. I held when Tilray was down 40% this year. Now I'm only down 12%. Bought 5,000 at 370 CAD. It's stressful, to be honest. Okay, cool. So that sounds like you're dollar cost averaging a little bit. But yeah, I mean, stressful. Buying and holding is probably the least stressful thing. When you're getting in at a trades, like try day trading. Like I'm in a SNDL trade right now. I don't really care. Like I don't feel any kind of like stress at all anymore because, you know, I've got like $1,000 into SNDL, which is like less than 1% of my net worth. So I don't really care. It's just kind of playing around with that. I was using the Moo platform, getting used to it as well, and kind of showing people, you know, an example. I was kind of tutoring some people in the my POW group community, in the MJ channel. I was saying, okay, I'm going to take a trade, and then a couple of people followed me on that SNDL trade, and we were up over 12% today. And for some people, that's really good money, right? Like that's how much the S&P usually returns in a year. Well, not in the last couple of years. It's returned like 125%. That's why I think we're probably going to see a massive crash, right? Like 1929 Great Depression style, maybe even worse, because this time, you know, we have so much manipulation and money printing going on. But yeah, markets are stressful initially, but it becomes less and less stressful. And if you have all your eggs in one basket, if you're only owning MJ stocks, or you only own one MJ stock, or you're using money that, you know, you need to put food on the table or pay rent, well, then it's really stressful. Try borrowing money too. I was an idiot when I first started, and you know, I thought, you know, maybe I'll get a line of credit, and instead of starting with $1,000, I'll start with 10,000. I'll use my line of credit. Oh, that's stressful. Using money that isn't yours. Big mistake. Don't do that. And then you can even start with fake money, right? Paper money. No one ever really wants to do that. I would say less than like 5% of people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, maybe I'll try that paper trading thing, but they never do. And then they end up like losing all their money, and then they're like, okay, maybe I'll try that paper trading thing. And that most probably still don't, right? So if you can't be good at paper money, I mean, I know it's different. You don't have the same emotions, but it should be easier then, right? You should be at least able to do it with paper money. So anyways, it's kind of funny how the human mind works sometimes. Good times, I think. Good stuff. Thank you. Safe bet for me. Absolutely. I like BZAM's new final bell deal. Being able to bring in top brands rapidly allows them to rotate SKUs fast. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think they could be a nice turnaround target. Definitely a lot more risk and reward name, right? Bottom is in, says Gerald. All good companies go on to take out old highs. Shares currently held in tighter and tighter hands. And yeah, and we're seeing more shares issued as well, right? And everybody's like, oh, you need to stop diluting. Well, let this be a lesson. If a company isn't making money, they're not profitable, how do they raise money? You know? Like, someone just going to show up at their door one day and be like, here's $100 million, do what you want, and you don't owe us anything back. Either they have to borrow it at a high interest rate, or an interest rate, and pay interest on that and pay the loan back, or they issue shares. Like, it's not rocket science. So until they become profitable, you need to expect dilution, right? Like, it's just, and let this be known for any other company that you look at, right? Look at their profitability. Are they profitable? No. Well, there's like an 80% chance they're going to dilute in the future, right? Like, that's just common sense. So I don't think it's the end of the world, right? What's the alternative? The company goes belly up and goes under? Why not? Would you rather the company go bankrupt and lose all your shares, or them issue another round of funding and tap the equity markets and raise a little bit until, you know, a year from now when they drive profitability, and then they've got money hand over fist that they don't know what to do with, right? And then the US legalizes and we potentially enter the US market, Germany, right? And then it's just like, oh, we've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars now. and we're going to do a dividend, right? We're probably looking 5 years out from now, maybe 10, but eventually they'll have a dividend, right? And then we'll look back and say, remember that time they diluted? It's like, sure glad I stuck to it, right? Stuck with it. So it's kind of funny that when you hear people say, Tilray needs to stop diluting. Well, literally the alternative is like detrimental, right? If they don't raise money, how are they going to keep the doors open until they buy time to get profitability, right? And that's why they're diversifying into alcohol and all these other sectors as well, right? Until we get excise tax approval here, improvements here in Canada, until Germany comes online, until the rest of the EU, until UK, EU. We've got Latin America. That's a huge market as well. We've got there are beverage brands in the US which are gaining traction. So yes, I definitely have that long-term account. Just looking to add more. Okay, cool. Got a good average at 177, but only got 100 shares. Yeah, well, everybody's got to start somewhere. CC Beast. Everything's got to start. Everyone's got to start somewhere. So, don't feel like you're the only one who started off with 100 shares. I'm sure there's tons of people on here that have a similar amount. There's tons of people on here that might have less than that, and there's tons of people that probably have a lot more than that. But that's one thing in the financial markets. You don't want to kind of put yourself, compare yourself to others, because no two people are the same, and every investor profile, every risk profile, every situation is drastically different. So smash it. Agreed. Thank you. Thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thoughts on MJ ETF? Yes, I can take a quick peek at it. Let's just see. I'll just take a quick peek. MJ. Yeah, it's definitely one of the laggards. It's pretty weak at the moment. It's just starting the weekly bounce this month after dropping to a monthly lower low. So it's still in a monthly downtrend, and we haven't even started forming the higher low yet. So it's definitely a laggard compared to like HMMJ ETF. Like that one has the opportunity. That one could potentially change the monthly uptrend here on a break of 1149. So MJ ETF's a little bit of a laggard and a little bit weaker than like an HMMJ. What about CGC if you're predicting Tilray to go that high? So CGC is a little bit different because there's still a lot of concern there. But if we were to see EMA 26, that would put us around $50, which is crazy because that was basically the old all-time high. It'd be $50 USD if we go to EMA 26 on the monthly time frame, but that's obviously factoring in post-split since they just did a 1 for 10, right? So that's more like $5 before the split. So 50 sounds like a lot, but it's actually not. It's like $5, right? And it just hit $1.92 on the HHS hype, which was just recommendation. Imagine when it actually goes through and gets enacted. Should easily hit $5 for that $50 post-split, right? In my opinion. In your opinion, when do you think we should see around $5 on Tilray? Could happen over the next 3 to 6 months, in my opinion. Like, given the right catalysts, if we get a few things string together, like Germany comes online, there was medical MJ in Ukraine. It's on its way to Zelensky's desk. There was some opposition there. So that should, in my opinion, happen soon. We've got Switzerland. Thailand is embracing it, which is crazy because they're very, very strict normally. You got the U.S. safer banking uplisting the nicely in the NASDAQ. You've got rescheduling. You've got Florida potentially on the ballot. You got Ohio coming online. You got Pennsylvania. Like there's MJ Act for review here in Canada, increase to edibles from 10 milligrams to 100 milligrams, and then excise tax potentially seeing improvements there. So like a third of Organigram's revenue went to excise taxes. Like that's insane, right? Imagine if that was hitting their bottom line, or at least, only a quarter of the revenue, or, an eighth of the revenue going to excise taxes, not a third, right? So yeah, it's, I think, 3 to 6 months is very doable for $5 on Tilray. USD as well. Given the right catalysts, all string together in a short enough time period, I think could go to $10 easily in a hurry. Won't MJ stocks get crushed if there's a huge crash? So yeah, that's something that we that could very well happen, and that's why I like this move that we've seen on MJ over the last couple of weeks, because it's cushioning the blow for whenever the S&P 500 finally starts weekly consolidation. Hasn't started weekly consolidation now in like 8 weeks, so when we finally get that consolidation and a pretty hefty pullback, which will be healthy on the broader market, MJ's kind of set up a little bit better. But yes, if we enter a prolonged bear market on the broader market, MJ will probably drop down with it. Like if the S&P 500 drops 5% or 10% in a day like it did during C19, MJ's going to get crushed, right? No doubt. It's going to go down probably 10-20% if there's fear. But in my opinion, it should recover quickly, and I think MJ's going to be one of the best performing asset classes. So to answer your question, yes, but I think it would just be temporary, to be a short-lived event, and then I think it would recover very, very quickly, and like I said, has the potential to be one of the best performing asset classes. So that's why I keep a ton of cash on the side. That's why I have a short position on the S&P 500 as a hedge to my MJ longs and my crypto altcoin longs and my real estate portfolio. I've got, in my retirement account, I have mutual funds where 95% are in money market funds, which is basically like a cash equivalent. So I'm ready to buy the dip if we do dip with the broader market, right? But I've got my long exposure. I've got my MJ portfolio, my long-term account, and my short-term account, just in case, maybe the S&P 500 goes down and tech stocks crater and all that money rotates into MJ. That could happen as well, right? So you need to have a plan for all scenarios. It's not that we have a crystal ball, but as long as you're prepared for all scenarios, that's basically all investing and trading and technical analysis really is. It's just, and it happens when you have experience, right? When you've done things multiple times, you say, this has happened before. But once you start to realize how the game works, you're saying, okay, well, one of 4 scenarios could probably play out, or one of 2 scenarios. Or as long as I have a plan for all, once I start to see them playing out, then I execute said plan, right? So that's all it really is. So what's your opinion on what price you should stop buying more shares? Are you talking about Tilray? Like I'm not buying anymore now. Like it's my biggest holding. So I'm done adding. The only way I would add is if we drop to a new 52-week low or all-time low, right? But yeah, for Tilray, my bags are packed. I'm focusing on like more US MSOs. But if you like it's such a hard question to answer because everybody's situation is going to be different. Like, do you own $1,000 worth of Tilray? What's your goal? Do you want to own like $10,000 worth of Tilray? Do you want to own 10,000 shares? Do you have 1,000 shares? Like, what's your goal, right? Are you trying to get to a share amount? Are you trying to get to a dollar amount? Are you adding like every week on your paychecks because you don't have any money to add now? Like everybody's situation's different. So, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to ask that but like, I mean, even if Tilray went to $3, it was at 67 in February of 2021. So like, even if you bought it at $5 and okay, let's say you bought right now at 250 and you're like, I could probably use a little bit more Tilray shares. Well, then even buying at $3 or $5 is still way cheaper than it was in February 2021 when it was at $67 on hopes of the US legalizing. That was just when Dems took control of the Senate. Imagine what happens when we actually get reform, right? So $67 should be met again, and then maybe even $100, right? So if you buy at $5 or $10, if you buy it at $10, it goes to $100, that's 10x, right? So it just depends on how content you are with your holdings, right? And what your goal is. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Because like I said, it would differ so much based on the person. This is my first live chat with someone on TV. Spooky. Yes, Tilray. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like I said, like I said, any price around these levels are steals, in my opinion. But obviously not financial advice. And don't buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. But, based on where we were in February 2021 at $67 US, and now we're at $250 or $240, that's still a bargain price, right? So, all right, going to end it there. Not seeing any other questions. And I got to go get some food. My stomach is growling. I am starving. Also got the Oilers game starting soon, so looking forward to it. I'll try to get another video tomorrow as well, and we'll see how active I am during the weekend. But obviously looking forward to the New Year celebration, New Year's Eve. Going to be spending time with some friends. Most of the holiday, I celebrate Christmas in our family. Most of the time was spent spending time with family, so this weekend's mostly going to be focused on friends. All right, going to end it there. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the pursuit of wealth, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. I have so much fun coming on here and doing these live streams, so thank you so much for joining the live stream. Go Flames, go. Yeah, I'm an Oilers fan. Oilers. Edmonton's home now, so oil country all the way, baby. All right, going to end it there. Hope you have a fantastic New Year's from my family to yours, and we'll see you again on the next video. Take care.